Okay, welcome to the podcast today. We've got a topic that I guess as a Christian I want to address. It's something that's been in the media a lot since the weekend, obviously, the Grammys and Sam Smith. That's going to be kind of the topic today, and mental illness and a lot of I guess my views. I should call it the truth. We could call it my opinions or views, but there's a difference between opinions and truth. And this is the truth, I guess, today what I'm going to talk about with basically the whole entire situation. I mean, this is something that I guess in a peaceful, graceful way we should fight back against that our kids are exposed to now. And I was just thinking what my 6-year-old stepdaughter or my 3-year-old would think if they watched that performance. And to get to the core of it, I mean, the beginning of it, the introduction with Madonna is what really bothered me. She said she wants to give praise or give thanks to the rebels and the troublemakers for your fearlessness that does not go unnoticed, and you are appreciated. So I just think about that, and these people claim for peace, they claim for love, like if you understand, obviously, to correlate it back to scripture, what God or Jesus really wants from us. So she just glorified troublemakers. And I guess so if I go into a school and I talk to a principal and I'm like, hey man, this kid just busted somebody upside their head for doing something, or like kids who I minister to or youth who I work with, and they do something that gets them in trouble. And you know it was out of pure sin that they did it, in anger and aggression, and they acted on that sin or that anger or that aggression, and they committed a sin, I mean, in a way, and it causes hurt and inflicts pain on the person who they punched. And it's an opinion that Madonna might not have meant this when she said that, but she don't realize that some little kid or some youth could be watching things like this. And this is where you got to articulate your words and understand when you have a platform how to say things right, because she just basically told a bunch of kids, hey, go raise a bunch of hell and cause trouble. And some kids took that probably as, well, I can go hit somebody upside their head, or I can go act out in this way, or I can go make trouble. I mean, that is just like, so starting with the intro, it just was pure nonsense to me and just idiocy at its finest. And I truly believe Madonna, in her own eyes and her own logic and mind, she probably don't even know what she said there. She don't even get it. I mean, and when you say things like this, especially when you have a platform and a whole entire country's watching you, you're creating all this stuff that you say you want to end. You're supposed to be a peacemaker. You're supposed to approach situations that diffuse them and be nice, but yet you're saying, go make trouble, and I'm going to glorify you and praise you for doing that. It's like just idiocy. I mean, are you that stupid? And I mean, not saying that out of judgment, I'm saying it out of a love to change things and get a solution, to understand like what a good mentor is, or what a good person is, to teach something peaceful and to teach something good without judgment or without anything like that. And she just basically said, go make trouble. I mean, and then we wonder why our kids are out here making trouble. You just glorified them, Madonna. You told them to go make trouble. So one kid looks at that as, hey, I'll load up my gun today. I'll go out and I'll raise some hell. I mean, and then you look at the worship, what Sam Smith does in this whole song, and what this song sings about. It sings about a man with kids who has a good marriage, or I shouldn't say it's a good marriage, it's a horrible marriage, obviously, because he glorifies him as going out and cheating on his family. I mean, and going basically to a whore house and having sex with a woman that he pays. I mean, that's what this whole song's about. And subconsciously, even if a kid or the youth don't understand it, I mean, that's really what, believe it or not, your brain's processing that in a way, and it's teaching you certain things that you don't even know is happening up there. And this is the hard reality that we can't stop this stuff. I mean, it's a power that can't be stopped, obviously, the way the evil is in social media and any platforms or TV. But you need to educate your kids on this and tell them like these people are pure idiots. And I mean, so then I do the research. It's like, how can I educate a kid and tell them that Sam Smith is a fool, or he just did something really foolish and that Madonna did something foolish. And I didn't do much digging or research. This took me probably about 30 minutes to do, but I did some research on Sam Smith. In 11th grade, he quit school because of alcoholism. So he turned into a raging alcoholic, where I can relate. I mean, I was in my life too, but God turned that around when I started putting him first. And so he started with alcoholism, and then he goes on and brags about how him and all of his friends just lived together and they started smoking heroin. So he went from being an alcoholic to a heroin addict. He talks about relationships. In 2014, he come out of the closet, and he ruined that relationship with his boyfriend or whatever he had, and no judgment on that. I mean, I know it's wrong. It's a sin. God tells us what a covenant is in a relationship and a marriage or a union, that should be. When you look, it's a long story if you get in scripture, but it's wrong. I mean, and you get into the core of his whole entire life is chaos. And then he actually comes out and talks about on his tour that he's doing this year, he's suffering from mental illness. So you publicly say you're suffering from mental illness. You say your mind is not right and that you're messed up. And let's put you on a platform and let you do a whole entire theatrical display of devil worshiping and going out and committing adultery and just having no respect for anyone you love. And to create a better society, to have this peace that you all preach, and it's crazy. He actually sat down with the Catholic Church, and I read a thing that he did a fundraiser. He did something in the community to teach kids to not use heroin, while he's saying he struggles with alcoholism and he's got mental illness. And we put him on a platform to go out and say good things or expect him to be a good mentor. And this is just the logic behind everything that I preach, even in the churches and stuff, to where it's like, if you don't put your money where your mouth is and you don't practice what you preach, and I know I haven't for a long time, but I have the last whole entire year exactly what I say I do. And it's pretty sad that we give these people a platform to sit on and say, here, let's give you a little power. Let's have you teach our kids what's right and wrong. And let you say, what you think is it's being a hypocrite. I mean, it's let's put you in front of all these people and say that you can tell them how to be or you can mentor them when you've just publicly displayed that everything you've done in life you've messed up. I mean, and that you're suffering from mental illness, and then we're gonna put you on a stage and we're gonna let you show how to worship the devil, and we're gonna do all these things that just, I don't know, it just teaches our kids nonsense pretty much. And they don't even know what it teaches them, evil ways. I mean, what he says there, it's all about ruin your marriage, go have sex behind closed doors and when you got kids involved. And in the whole song, if you look at the lyrics, it's crazy. I used to like this fool. I mean, a few of his songs from the past. And it's sad too that they can't just be normal, but then they can have this talent and this ability, to do something great. And instead of using it for something so good that they don't. And I don't even believe he even knows what he's doing. He probably logically in his mind, he don't even know when a kid's fragile and they don't know what's right and wrong, and they're growing and they hear these things and then they understand them. It creates chaos. Which is the title of one of my other podcasts. I mean, this is a hard reality of what I'm seeing, I guess, now in society and with these influencers and these people. And these kids follow them, and I'm going to get into some numbers and statistics here, because one of the biggest influences I'm finding out right now is the whole LGBTQ movement. And I can't judge you. God says I can't judge you, but I can know what truth is. And the truth is that I truly believe up until 1975, this was declared a mental illness. And now if you look at numbers, just logically speaking, I guess, for a good life, for if you look at studies, you look at data, you look at truth in scripture, truth in the world, 48%, 1 out of every 2 people in LGBTQ have thoughts of suicide and they want to die. So then I start looking at bullying numbers, and it says that 30% of them people actually try to commit suicide. So it's like, okay, you're obviously suffering from a mental illness, just like Sam Smith, and he says this, that all of his relationships were ruined. He just was seeking sex. He was seeking these things that weren't fulfilling, and his life's destroyed, and he still suffers. He still goes on. He lives this lifestyle, and for some reason, his mind, he can't decipher, why am I this upset? Why is my brain this way? Why is it like this? Have you ever thought because it's you live in sin? And there's a simple, stupid, dumbed down truth. When you follow these paths, the data and the numbers don't lie. Your life is going to be screwed up, period. Whether you can blame it on bullying. Now, the first thing people go to, well, they're bullied, blah, 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 this and that, and it's like, okay, now I look at the studies from 4th to 8th grade, 90% of kids say that they are bullied. Only about, I believe it's 20 to 28% of them kids have thoughts of suicide. Now, in the LGBTQ kids from 4th to 8th grade, 52% of them have suicidal thoughts or want to commit suicide. Now, 90% of all kids have been bullied, but 52% of them are suicidal. And just my opinion, I guess, and I will call it truth because I believe it's the truth. I mean, kids out there, I don't care what you're feeling or what you're thinking, that's sin in your head that you're thinking. And I'll tell you a way easier way in your mental health to go, whether you believe it or not. If you're a boy, get a girlfriend. If you're a girl, get a boyfriend. Because mentally, it's going to be way easier on you. No matter what you believe, what you think, you're not the God of your life. God created you for a way. Look at your parents who created you. Look at how you were created. And physically, mentally, spiritually, every single thing in the world shows that if you get with somebody of the same sex, you can't create life. You can't. So there's a logic that God created us as human beings to create life in a certain way so it sustains and is manageable and is normal. And the data and the studies and the mental health and the brain problems and the things you look at, and I guarantee you, if you're listening to this and you're LGBTQ or you're whatever you are, I love you. Don't think I'm condemning you. Don't think I'm going the approach that a lot of the churches have. I'm going an approach that, hey, try and change your ways, and I guarantee you your mental health and your life's going to be better. It will. The data does not lie. It does not lie. And that's a hard reality to face. That's one that nobody wants to look at and think. And I hope I could do a study, or somebody could, even in these kids who think these thoughts and how this goes through your head. And it's a sad reality, because I don't care what man or woman you are, you probably had a thought of the same sex in some manner. And if you said you didn't, I don't know, then you're playing that hard ass card or whatever. But there's a difference between having sinful thoughts and acting on sin. I mean, I guarantee you, everyone I know out there said, I'd like to kill that person, or I'd like to beat that person. Did you go do it? Did you go act on it? No, you never did. And that's the difference between what changes your life and what doesn't. So when you have these thoughts, you do this. I mean, the one book that's formed our country, that's created a civilized world, that's created our handwriting, that's created our technology, that's created, if you link the core back to everything of us being civilized, it was because we followed God's law. And some man who was a Christian, and this whole entire aspect of all these things, formed a great nation, formed a great country. And everywhere that's been done, it's been great. Where I'm going to Africa in a year from now, God's not in them places. They know nothing about him. Certain areas of the third world countries where it's the most horrible, heinous things happen and evil is there, there's no God. There's no kingdom there being built. I wonder why they live this way. And they got more of almost an instinct or a tendency that creates violence, that creates murder, that creates rapes, that creates horrible genocide. God's never been there. That's pretty crazy when you look at the logic about that. Now you look at countries where God has been. Wow, they're great. They're free. There's goodness happening there. I mean, it's just like, this stuff's pretty simple. When you dumb it down, I'll give some advice to most kids out there and tell them right now, if you want an easy road, if you want an easy way, no matter what thoughts you're having in your head, no matter what you're exposed to, what your porn you're looking at shows you, whatever you think in your mind that it is, if it's to do with the same gender or same sex, you're wrong. That's a sinful feeling, and that is something that is by human nature. You're going to have that. Now, are you going to have the discipline to do what's right? Trust me, I've got thoughts, and I've had people walk in this office. I've had people come in here, different people, and I've wanted to just beat them. I mean, I've wanted to to tell them like you're wrong, like in a lot of ways what you're doing is evil. You're creating a lot of bad stuff with thoughts, with things you're condoning, and you don't realize it in the big picture of what it used to be and what we're turned into now. Do I jump on them? Do I just pummel them? Do I do any of that? No, I don't act on that sin. I love them and I try and show them the truth. And I do this podcast and I talk and I communicate and I never condemn them. I always love them. I always try to understand them. I always look at them in a manner that, let's get to the core of this. Let's get to the problem of it. Let's look at the bottom solution, the bottom